cheesy holiday movie idea. There is a woman who goes home for the holidays, and she's home the week of Christmas and comes across her grandmother's old crochet project. And she's reminiscing about childhood holidays with grandma, and she is, holds that project up tight to her, and somehow this note falls out, and it's a note from her grandmother, and she just loves seeing her grandma's handwriting again. And the note says, set your intentions all year, and maybe this is a knitting project. Anyway, and weave them into this project. We need to work on the language for the grandmother's note. But anyway, the woman says, like, oh, okay, but I don't know. I actually never learned how to knit from grandma. We always talked about it, and we just never made the time, and I'm so sad. And then she's got, a spunky, quirky best friend who's also in town. Or no, maybe the best friend always lived in town, never left. And the best friend's like, Bestie, I got you. I'm going to teach you how to knit this holiday. And so they are practicing with grandma's project and having some fits and starts, but thankfully it's just simple knit and purl. It's nothing too elaborate, and eventually our main character gets the hang of it, and she's feeling pretty good, and her bestie's encouraging her. And as she's working, she starts to notice, as she goes about her day, when she's made progress on the project, good things start sprinkling into her day. She finishes her first full row, front and back, and she's so proud of herself. And she's out in town, and she goes to get a coffee or a hot cocoa, and surprise, this one's on us, for whatever silly reason. And she's like, well, isn't that nice? And she runs into old acquaintances and whatnot, and has the project just stuffed in her bag so that she can work on it, here and there. And so she's running an errand at the town hall or courthouse or something, and so she's working on the project while she's waiting for some paper to get reviewed, and finishes another couple rows, and somebody comes around the counter and is like, well, surprise, surprise, you actually had a refund, like a bank error in your favor kind of Monopoly card. So here's your paperwork all complete, and here's a check from the city for the $50 that we owe you. Sorry about that. And she's like, oh my goodness. And goes on, meets up with her parents for dinner at their place, and I guess didn't meet up. But anyway, she goes back to her parents, and they're having dinner, and she's telling them about the good luck, and her mom gets a little twinkle in her eye, and she's like, Grandma always was lucky this time of year. I mean, we always just said it's the Christmas spirit. You reap what you sow. You put out good things into the world, and you get them back. And so she just kind of, and the heroine is so pleased and content, and she's in bed under her quilt that grandma also made, and she's working on the project and thinking about how special today was. And she's like, but it is so sad. I've come all this way and there's still no snow, and it's just so unusual. Usually we'd have a beautiful white Christmas, and I just hope that we get that. And she's working on the project, finishes a couple more rows, and falls asleep so peacefully. Wakes up to a huge blanket of snow on the world, looking wonderful and beautiful, and she's just so delighted. And she goes outside in the snow, and she plays with the family dog, and he's barking and jumping around, and she's just giggling, and it feels like a kid again. She's so happy. And she goes in, says goodbye to the family. They ask her, she's gonna go drop off some donations for a church drive, a charity drive. And as she's on her way, she almost gets in a car accident, and she's like, whew, so nervous and shaken up a little bit, but thankfully everything's okay. And she goes, I wonder if that's part of the good luck as well. And she continues on, and at the donation drop off, of course, she runs into the old high school flame, the thing that never really quite took off, that they were always seeing different people or traveling, not available, and it just never quite worked out. And what's funny is it's still not quite working out. They're awkward with each other, and they're kind of tripping over being around each other. And it's just like, well, that's, oh well. And after dropping everything off, she's looking through some of the different yarns and things and seeing other grandma projects out in the world. And she wonders about getting something. And one of the sweet little old ladies running the event knows the girl's grandmother and is reminiscing. And she says, she always was a special one, but she was a little set in her ways, and sometimes she really only did certain things. Maybe she should have branched out more and done some other projects, because look at this. You can see you can make coasters, you can make little ornaments, but she always had to do a big project, and I admire her for that. But you can't just spend your whole life waiting for something big to finish. You can make progress on the way with these little things. And the girl goes, oh, maybe you do have a point. And she says, I'm going to think about that. And she ends up getting a couple skeins of yarn and thinks, maybe I'll work on something small. And she leaves, and another woman shuffles up to the first one. She's like, why'd you tell her that? You were just trying to get rid of that nasty yarn that nobody wants. And she's like, don't worry about it, Berta. We're never going to see her again. Or something rude. And so our heroine goes off, and she sits down at the coffee shop, has another cup of hot cocoa, and she's trying to make a coaster, and she finishes it, but it doesn't really feel too special. And she's like, I guess I'm glad I made a little square. And she stuffs it in her bag and is getting up to leave and bumps into somebody, and she's never met this person before. It's a very kind woman who's a little bit older than her, not too much older. And the woman's like, oh, my apologies. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to run into you. And she's like, oh, it's no problem at all. But there's like some kind of little zing there, and she's a little bit confused by it. And she goes, okay, what was that about? Oh, well, and like turns and walks a little bit, and she sees something shiny on the floor, and it's a penny, and it's head side up. That's the lucky side, right? And she's like, lucky penny. That's nice for me. But certainly finishing the coaster doesn't feel at all special like working on Grandma's project. And she's not quite convinced that this lucky penny has anything to do with making a coaster. So she continues on, is catching up with the bestie, telling her about these different bits of good luck, and the snow is so beautiful. And the bestie's like, okay, but tell me about this person that you ran into. I don't know who you're talking about. And she's like, well, she looked like this. She was wearing this. She seemed very cool. And the bestie's like, I know everyone in this town, and I don't know who you're talking about. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. It's a mystery. And so she's all jazzed up. Our girl goes home and has another lovely dinner with her parents, and they're talking about going ice skating maybe the next day. And they have their dinner, and the girl starts to work on her project a little bit more, but she's her fingers are a little bit sore. She's not used to doing this work. And so she sets it aside and goes to sleep. When she wakes up in the morning, the project's not there. The family dog has run off with it, and she sees just this trail of yarn. No. And she finds the end of it and is so upset, and the dog's all like, and so she gathers it up, and her parents are squabbling in the kitchen. She goes down, and what's happening? And they're like, oh, all of this snow, there's a leak in the garage, and it's caused all this problem, and we're worried that we need to patch the roof, and nobody's working right now because it's the holidays. And oh no. And then she goes out, and her car has a flat tire, and it's just kind of, bad luck on bad luck. We'll continue in part 2.